The team is back from the future with one goal in mind: change humanity's fate. And how does their first mission go? Not really stoking the fires of optimism. But they may have a new wild card up their sleeve. And trust me, he is loving today. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, Season 5, Episode 11. All the comforts of home. Especially cheeseburgers and Zima. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So yes, of course, there are spoilers ahead. Alright, we are back from our little Olympic break and ready to do a straight shot through the rest of the season. The team is back into the present, now trying to do whatever they can to break this time loop, save humanity. And again, great episode as always, dropping some new bits of information and opening up a lot more questions as well. So let's actually start off with our big information drop. We get one of our big questions answered right here. What is the deal with the lighthouse? Who built it? How long has it been there? Well, Rick Stoner built it. General Rick Stoner, played by Patrick Warburton. Love that voice. For Project Reclamation, looks like previous to 1972. Basically, it was designed as a super secret facility in order to save humanity. The disaster they were planning for didn't really happen, apparently, and this was forgotten. Really only known to the highest level of S.H.I.E.L.D, wasn't even in Fury's little magic cube that Coulson had. So it sort of explains why nobody knows anything about it, why it does seem to be old yet still has new technology. Loved all the little bits of references in there. The magic with the electronic mail, anything. It was fun. Also with Fitz trying to play with. I think some of this technology may be good. A little outfitted though by our new chronotom, Noah, who's taking over for Enoch. This pretty much places us right after Fitz has left, is when they return. So I'm assuming at this point, Enoch informed Noah what was going on, then he took Fitz's body and headed up to the spaceship to head out into deep orbit and wait for the future to come to bring him back in. So that brings Enoch pretty much out of the picture. We have, who is reckless, apparently by Chromaton standards. But we do have Noah, which gives us a little bit of information. Also beautifully sets up a communication array and headquarters and screening for the team to use and for Daisy to jump into. So that was all really cool, very convenient. But it does pretty much instantly give our team a new HQ, secret ways to get out of the lighthouse into various parts of town, and with a very cool but not very subtle landing pad for the Zephyr 1 for the bus, which opens up a giant whirlpool they are outside of the lighthouse that they can drop into. Again, looks cool, not really sure if it's very undercover-y. Alright, and the light from the sky that, according to Tales, was what started this whole sequence of events, ends up not being a light from the sky, but from the Earth. Specifically, it is Hive's beacon for the Kree, being used to sucker the team out from the cold. Basically, it's bait. Nicely done scene right there. I love seeing Piper again. That was really cool, and the whole sort of tale that she was telling ends up being not entirely true. I love that she kind of got played, tried to pull in the team to protect them, guaranteeing their safety, and ends up not being. I like the fact that she turned back with the team, that she wasn't betraying them. That was the one kind of concern that I had, was once she turned, it was like, oh no, she's betrayed, she's totally suckered in. No, she was suckered, just not against the team by General Hale, who really, I think, is the obvious central villain for this back half of this season. She is the one that is now taken over for Talbot, who is in a coma. You know exactly where he is with all of that. So she's running everything from the super secret military base with a very interesting new super secret team. And you know, this is kind of gives us a bit more of our information. We have, of course, Dove Cameron's reveal in this episode. Highly expected what role she was going to play, and they did a really interesting setup, I think, which paid off in a really fun way with that last sequence. Is when they opened things up, showing that she is Ruby, she is General Hale-'s daughter, and they seem to have a very, I don't know, interesting relationship. Very much kind of a teen adult stuff. I love the threat to her screen time was what got her attention. But they play very nicely with the idea of you have skipped school and maybe she doesn't want to do this. And it sounds in that opening sequence very much like Hale is a regular parent concerned for her daughter growing up the right way. Maybe strict, but she's military. That's understandable. I love the interesting back and forth there about, are you a good guy? Because S.H.I.E.L.D. was the good guys, but now we're after them, and so if you're after who were the good guys, it creates a very interesting dynamic, an interesting point of view from that opening sequence. Because we do seem to be sympathetic for Ruby here. She's got the big Quake is my hero poster. She's very obsessed with her. So it seems like maybe Ruby is a possible ally for the team. Maybe she's not completely evil. However, when she does arrive in full regalia inside the satellite facility to capture the team, we get a very interesting, very different side from her. Especially with the conversations she had with Mom afterwards, which again reflects that whole opening sequence. The school that they were referring to seems to be a bit more of a training, maybe combat intelligence killing school, and not your standard academia. Also, daughter is kept inside of a locked, sealed, almost giant safe type room. So the relationship between the two of them, not entirely sure if that's actual mother-daughter thing. It does raise up a lot of questions, especially because the strike team is all made up of robots, androids, cyborgs, however you want to put it. This does sort of spark the whole LMD storyline, especially because Piper did tell General Hale about the framework and the LMDs and the Superior and Ivanov and all of that stuff. So we are getting a lot of reinforcement from the LMD storyline here. With these bots, though, they didn't look like LMDs, they didn't act, the internal compositions seem different. Now, is this a variation creation from the Superior? Are these alien bots that have now infiltrated the base and we've got this whole different storyline going on there? Or is this a new variation of LMD that's not necessarily the Superior, but maybe back to replaced bots, kind of like the team was, May was, and Coulson and all of them, with a different goal in mind programmed into them. So still a lot of questions here, but does add very interesting dynamic to things. Now, I know with everything that happened in the whole satellite sequence battle, you were expecting that was going to be our scene of the week. But no, it's not. Let's face it, this week's scene of the week all belongs to Deke. Really, and I'm going to say, it's longer than a scene. If I have to pick a particular one, it's him in the bar. But really, it's from the moment that he arrives until Daisy picks him up in the police station was just pure joy. I just love how the whole evolution of it, how he sees it, just being in the world and hugging a tree. And let's be honest, the population of Wisconsin definitely very liberal in their drug use policy. The lady was like, yeah, it's not exciting, it'll be that exciting until whatever you're on comes off of. She's not judging him, she's just making an observation. I thought that was very cool, especially for Wisconsin. And then finding the bar, I mean, pulling the ice cream out, yes, we think that's gross. But remember where he's been. You know, sterilization pellets. Now he gets to go in a bar with beer. And yes, beer's nasty. His first beer, I was really wondering how he was going to respond to that. Because we all remember our first beer. Those of us that are old enough to drink. If not, wait till you're old enough to drink. It's nasty. Really is disgusting. I loved how that was played out. He's asking, do you have anything like this, but delicious? And the bartender gives him a Zima. The most like anti-bar drink you can have. And of course, that is delicious. And that goes into the whole thing, the look on the bartender's face, Deke's whole enjoyment of food and onion rings and what's on television. As he sums it up perfectly when he was at the police station. You can't imagine things that you can't imagine. I never imagined food that was shaped like creatures, but I saw that. What are gummy bears? As he's telling Quake afterwards. I mean, let's face it. Again, perfectly summed up by that little interchange with Quake in the police station. You know, I thought you'd be in a massive panic. Are you kidding me? This place is awesome. I thought I was dead, and now I'm about to walk outside. Plus, there's an outside. It was just that whole sequence. Deke just owned it. For the reality of returning back, yes, when Matt got back, he just wants a cheeseburger. We understand that. Everyone walking out at first into the sunlight and the air and taking those breaths, yes, you are welcoming yourself back into reality. For Deke, this is all new. He's not missing the future at all. It's the greatest thing that he has ever been in, and he played it perfectly from beginning to end. All right, now the other big reveal that we got in this episode, besides where the lighthouse came from, and that we've got robots going after the team, and General Hale and Ruby have a strange family relationship, is monoliths. Lots of monoliths. 3 to be specific. The time monolith, obviously right there inside the lighthouse, but 2 other ones. We had a very dark gray, almost blackish one, and then we had sort of a silvery blue one with writing etched on the side of it. So very different. I don't think, wasn't struck that the black monolith was the one from back in season 3 that traveled to Mammoth. I believe this is a whole new one. At least, again, just how it was looking to me. The third one, yeah, definitely all brand new. So that is not a move that we were expecting, but, you know, the monoliths have made very big changes, very big encounters with the team every time they've encountered it. So I don't think this is something that's just sitting in the background as something interesting, especially considering what happens with the beacon. When that seems to blow, thank you, Noah, for shooing the team out of there. I mean, I don't know if that was really the best move. That didn't seem to be about stopping a extinction event, just their extinction. But still, thank you. And it looked like maybe Noah got blown up with the beacon right there. But considering that those were right next to the monoliths, well, you got to think. One, did Hale put in another timer and a bomb inside of that Fitzsimmons wasn't able to check out and find, and that's what made it blow? Was it being in proximity to the monoliths? Did that do something? Did that overcharge it, overpower it? Again, we don't know. But the other thing with the beacon, now that we know what it was, we thought that that was summoning the Kree out, but no, it was just used as a ruse to pull in the team. I think, though, inadvertently, Hale just created humanity's end. That it wasn't the team doing something. Since Hale ordered the beacon to be used as, well, a beacon for the team, I think that's what's going to end up actually summoning the Kree and Cassius' father. So these sequence of events may have just literally just started with this episode, and not by the team, but by those after them. And no, I am not going to finish this review without talking about Yo-Yo and the kind of horrible end that she runs into with this episode, which gives us our flash, our connection to the future version of Yo-Yo, the one dead and revived, and sort of confirms a lot of the fears that Yo-Yo had. That moment between Mac and Yo-Yo where Mac's trying to be optimistic about changing the future, and Yo-Yo's not so much. She's seen a lot more than Mac. Definitely is feeling a bit more of the negativity on that. And this scene really seems to kind of lock them in. First off, again, the beacon probably summoning the Kree, actually bringing the aliens to them. And then 2, Yo-Yo losing her arms as she was in the future. Now, you may think back, but come on, Darren, in the last day, Yo-Yo was going after the Kree and she had the axe and she had her arms. Yes and no. She had a jacket on and both of her hands were gloved. I went back and watched it. So most likely we are dealing with prosthetics just like Coulson has had. So instead, we'll have arms for Yo-Yo, prosthetic arms for Yo-Yo. Now, this, I believe, is a callback to the comics. I apologize, I'm not super familiar with Yo-Yo's past, but I do believe there was at least at some point where she was armless. I think even in the beginning of her character. So this would be something that would be in line with that, and if they're using cybernetics, it would be something they could allow to continue to move forward with the character and usable, and just use that for the arms. Again, kind of like the whole Coulson hand thing. We just now have extra bionic backup, I guess, which you could always appreciate. But again, this does seem to that was, I think, the whole move with this episode, is it does seem to lock us into the past, or into this time loop that you can't end, and has the team stuck in. Alright, just a couple of small things. One, did you catch the Thor Ragnarok reference? Little Easter egg there. As Daisy was looking over the computers to see what of the, or May, sorry, was looking over Noah's little setup to see what was going on in the world. Talked about an Asgardian in the city. Most likely New York right there, and that would have been, of course, Thor showing up with Loki to try and find their father, where they run into Doctor Strange. So I believe this gives us a little time connection right there. It's a small thing, but at least we did have a good reference. Hale says an interesting line to Ruby in the beginning about going after S.H.I.E.L.D. She's going to finish this mission, and then this whole S.H.I.E.L.D. chapter will be over. Is that kind of their foreshadowing about this could potentially being the last season of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It's not, but, you know, possible foreshadowing. We'll have to see. Yo-Yo was pushing at Coulson to get himself checked out, and he's still being evasive. But not for long. We will find out what exactly is going on with Coulson next episode in the big number 100. Ah, the lovely little town of River's End. Small town with a big heart. Yeah, the downside with small towns, of course, everybody knows everyone else. So you don't steal one of the more obvious fans in town. Nice that Mac was able to play that off, but come on, that just totally puts a marker on them. That cop's gonna remember him. And of course, did remember Daisy, because it was him that ends up calling Hale and keeping her there until they can get up. So yeah, they lost their cover real quick. Daisy's new undercover agent name, Sonara Smith. Well, I guess she did make an impact on her. She's memorable, that's for sure. And I love Deke's little chuckle when she said that. That was awesome. Oh, speaking of Yo-Yo, while that's traumatic, and like I said, I think it's used to sort of connect us and feel like the time loop is happening and there is no escape, I don't buy her losing her arms. I think she was, of course, trying to jump in front of Ruby's attack on Mac to save his life. But with her speed and everything, I don't really believe that she would have gotten caught like that. Again, I understand where they're going, that just rang a little untrue considering her power set and everything. Not sure what to think about Ruby's special combat outfit. I mean, I love the masks on all the teams and everything like that. Just, You know, superhero costumes, supervillain costumes are hard to pull off properly. And while it's cool looking, I didn't see a functional reasoning for some of that. And so I'm not entirely sold on it. All right, well, I think that pretty much covers everything. We did have our little final coda scene where we get to see the return of Crusher Creel being pulled in. Of course, he was Talbot's bodyguard, now being pulled in by General Hale because she's putting together a new team. And this is the team that will be giving lots of issues for our team going forward. So, next week, it is the monumental, groundbreaking 100th episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, we will find out about Coulson's deal with Ghost Rider, but it looks like we are also getting a flashback to a lot of other characters. Is this part of the new evil team? Are they playing mind games? Are they messing with the team's head? Or are we just doing sort of a flashback? This is what we've done over the past 5 years. I hope it's the former and not the latter. I hate those little let's talk about everything we've done episodes. And there's way too much for this show to cover. I don't think they're going to go that way. I'm just throwing it out. But really looking forward to see that. Can't wait to see everything that they pull out for the big 100. Now, I'm sure you guys have also heard that Avengers Infinity War is being moved up a week. To April 27th. And I'm curious how this is going to affect S.H.I.E.L.D. Are they having a direct tie-in or not? It's such a big movie, it's such a big event, I can't see how they don't. And in which case, are we then going to have maybe like 2 hours the week beforehand on the 20th, then off for a week, and then back into things on the 4th when Infinity War was supposed to come out, and then finishing up single episodes after that? Do we take a break for 2 weeks and then come back with like the final 3 episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I'm not sure. Again, this really depends on how they're going to tie them in. I'm assuming they are. Again, huge, big thing. Perhaps at the end of Infinity War, everybody gets taken away, and that's why the Avengers aren't there to deal with the Kree when they show up. You know that that's got to be kind of a thing. That's something the Avengers would be there for. So really curious how they're balancing this all out. We will find out in a few weeks. So thank you so much for joining me with this review. If you did enjoy it yourself, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, and comments, throw those down in the section below. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. More Twitter than Instagram, but both are at Darren Jakes. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Quick, easy, hit this button, catch all these reviews. Plus, we've got Westworld, Legion coming up. So good looking. We'll throw a couple of those for you to check out from last season right there. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.